name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about drugs. We're going to have a conversation, read an article, and maybe write a little bit. If you guys are interested in private lessons, message me on my Verbling inbox. Mustafa, welcome to class.
Hey, teacher, welcome you. Thank you.
How are you doing today, Mustafa?
I'm doing terrific. Thank you for asking. What's about you?
I'm doing pretty well. It's 11 a.m. for me, so I got a nice morning, I had some coffee, relaxed a little bit, and now I've got 6 classes. So, long day.
Wow. So I hope you don't have any fly today.
There is still a fly in my room, even though I am more prepared today. But he's not as bothersome as he was before. It might be a different fly than I had the other day. I'm not really sure. But I'm getting pretty tired of these flies.
Oh, okay.
Anna Carolina, welcome to class.
Thank you, Michaela.
Do you ever have trouble with mosquitoes, Anna Carolina?
I hate mosquitoes, teacher. Even they bite me. It itches a lot, and I had to take a pill and anti-allergic.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
Once I was scratching, and then my leg is
Swollen?
swollen. My leg swollen.
That's bad.
And yes, I had to take antibiotics because of that, and the doctor beat my head off by saying that I cannot scratch that way.
Yeah, you have to be careful. It's tough, though. Anna Baleen, how about you? Do you ever have problems with flies or mosquitoes or other bugs?
Hello, teacher. No, I don't like that. With the mosquitoes, I don't have any problem because they only bite me maybe once a year.
Oh, wow, you're lucky.
They prefer bite my children and my husband.
I've heard that they have preferences like that. You know, two people will go out into the woods and one person will get, killed by mosquitoes and the other won't. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. But my children have a lot of problems with the mosquitoes.
They have sweeter blood, I guess.
Yes, I suppose.
All right, Rafael, do you ever have bug problems? Mosquitoes, flies, cockroaches?
Yes, in the past, yes, but nowadays I use repellent and I try to avoid staying in the woods and places which is very likely to have these insects and bugs. But fortunately, sometimes they just appear, they just show up, and it's hard to get rid of them. So using pesticides and something like that is kind of complicated because sometimes the pesticides are strong, they are hard and hard to breathe. So I don't like have to use them. They cause me some nausea and some bad feelings. So I try to avoid using them.
Yeah, I hate repellents as well. But sometimes it's necessary.
Exactly.
All right. Gregor, welcome to class. And what bug problems have you run into in the past?
With which? Because you said you're talking about mosquitoes, cockroaches.
Well, yeah, currently I have a fly problem, but in the past I've had mosquito problems. Thankfully have never had a cockroach problem at my house. I know people who have, and it's pretty gross. What about you?
So I guess it was 8 years ago in Poland. I don't know why in this part where I was living we had a big issue with the flies. There are too many flies. We laughing that there is a season on the flies. But I don't remember any.
Did you do anything about it? Did you just try and kill them with like swatters or poison them?
No. I actually they were flying around, so it's so hard to grab them. One of the things that we do in Poland in that sort of situation, some people think that it's disgusting. they just grab some kind of like a sticky tape, and all of the flies just stick into there.
Oh, that's a good idea. I should get that.
But you know, the massive number of flies on the sticky tape, it's not really the best looking thing.
Not appetizing, that's for sure. But it's
No.
I think it's a little better than poison. I've been struggling with the idea. Part of me wants to just like put some of that spray poison and kill the flies, but I don't want to have to breathe that in for a few days. Like if they're dying, it's probably not good for me either. So maybe the sticky tape is the way to go.
Maybe.
I
And,
don't have very good aim with this water.
Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about drugs today. Legalizing drugs, that's something that's happening in several states here in the U.S. and abroad as well. One more student. Lena, welcome to class.
Hi guys.
I love your picture, Lena. So, Lena, we're talking about drugs today, and you can be the first one to answer our first topic, which is basically, what is a drug? You can give examples or describe the effects or even talk about addiction. Lena, go ahead and start that conversation for us.
Okay, I don't know so much things about drugs. I have never taken them myself, but I think it's some stuff that makes some people addicted. And just there are some drugs which I use for medical purposes. For example, when people are drunk, are very are ill, then they have to take it. For example, when they have pains in the knees, or I don't know, and they have to wait till the operation. Then just for medical reasons. But yeah, I know. Just for example, you can also go to Amsterdam, and you can also eat to try there some drugs. But I know just it's illegal to take them to your own country. Just probably you can eat something like a cookie or I don't know, or something like that there. No, I don't know that much about that topic.
So you think that drugs are all addictive? That's a requirement for it to be considered a drug. It needs to be addictive. Is that right?
I wouldn't advise to try drugs. Yes, they can be addicted. Probably just only exception is just for medical purposes and not for a long time.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Lena, for getting that started for us. Mustafa, how about you? What do you think a drug is? You can either give us some examples of actual drugs or their effects, or just define it for us. What do you think?
I'm on the same page with the last person who talks to you. Like, I don't have like a lot of idea about drugs, but I think if like a drug make you an addicted person to them, so it's not a good idea to take them, even if it was like give you like a nice feeling or for a short-term period. Don't make like I'm not with the idea that making our mind think that only by getting a drug I'll be fine or I'll be good, because in that way we will be addicted, and this is not good actually. So yeah, I'm not with taking drug.
Do you agree with her that in order for it to be considered a drug, it has to be addictive?
It depends on the drug itself.
Okay. All right. Depends.
Yeah, it depends, because we have a lot of types or kinds of drugs. So yeah, you know, some drug can make you addicted for a long-term period. Some of them like just for the period you take them. So it depends.
All right. Rafael, what do you think? How would you define a drug, and what falls into that category and what doesn't? I mean, is coffee a drug? Is broccoli, alcohol?
I believe that everything you have mentioned is drugs, are drugs. Everything which can become addictive, and it might harm you, not only in medium term but also in short term. because they are just different levels of addiction and how much
But do
they
you
can
think
harm
like
you.
chocolate could be a drug if you were addicted to it?
Definitely, because it can raise your levels of glucose and sugar, fats, and it's also a drug. And also, beer is also a drug. You can get a lot of diseases by drinking too much beer. So I believe everything which is used incorrectly and it's used too much, with now in drug control, it's can be considered a drug from my point of view.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks, Rafael. Edson, welcome to class.
Thank you.
Go ahead and answer the same question. Tell us what you think of as a drug, maybe some things you think fall into that category or don't.
Oh, well, as Rafael mentioned, beers are in a, I would say, in a very near term, and like drugs, I don't know, let's say, cocaine or any other kind of drugs are in a long term. And but let's see, some illicit drugs are long term, and alcohol is a very short term.
So what are some examples of illicit drugs?
Illicit drugs like cocaine and crack, and I don't remember now all the names, but just of these two
Well,
names are.
those are good examples.
Let's see, yes, just those two.
All right. Gregor, what about you? What do you think of as a drug? Could you define it?
So drug is basically the type of substance that the government has the monopoly on his distribution, and he practically forced people to not take them. In Poland, for short period of the time, there was a situation that one of the drugs that we had was designer drug.
A designer drug?
Yes, a designer drug is give you a link because people designer drug is what was sold in Poland as like a kind of substance that it was sold as a collectible stuff that people shouldn't take, and that was a mixture of many substances, I don't know, plastic and many different kind of things that people just go directly after using it, go to the hospital or maybe just simply died because of it. And the government actually tried to forbidden this selling this kind of drugs. So now it's illegal, but we still see many things like people want to try to put like a blackmail in our country that we want legal how to call it, pot, or maybe we won't take any those kind of things, designer drugs, because we just want to be healthy, and that's what we see. The leftovers of what we see in the distribution of those kind of things are still many of them, and still people still take them. So.
In the comments we got cigarettes, and I think that's a good point because we haven't really talked about cigarettes. They're not illegal, but they are drugs. They are addictive. That's an interesting concept. How about Anna Catalina? Tell us a little bit about what you think of drugs. Tell us what defines a drug. So does it have to be illegal? Does it have to be addictive? Does it have to have negative consequences? What makes a drug?
What makes a drug to be
Yeah,
a
like
drug?
I wouldn't call broccoli
Okay.
a drug, but why?
Okay. A drug is something that produces produce a reaction in your body, in working working your synapses in your brain and change your mood, or but not just change your mood, because some drugs are intended to cure diseases, any strange chemical substance that she produce any kind of effect in your body is a drug.
All right. So even coffee, that could be a drug because it produces caffeine and it's an effect in your body, right?
I think so.
Okay. I like that definition. I think it's simple, clear. Let's see if everyone agrees. Anna-Belen, tell us if you agree with that definition and give us some more details on what you think are drugs and what they do.
I think that all drugs are all kind of substances that are unhealthy, addictive, and the most important for me, they can ruin your life. But for example, for me, I don't consider drug, for example, chocolate or coffee, because even they are addictive. However, the study says that they are good for the health. It's the same. For example, in the alcoholic beverage, wine would be a healthy beverage because it's good to have a glass of wine a day. But for me, the most dangerous are the synthetic drugs because they are very artificial and it's difficult to the specialists track this type of drug because they change too often. Drugs also cost much money to the government in general.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about what is a drug and what isn't a drug, and we're going to read an article in a little bit about legalizing marijuana, which most people do consider a drug, unless anyone here wants to disagree with that. So let's talk a little bit about legalizing marijuana before we read our article. Actually, let's do this in the chat box. I'd like everyone to write 2 sentences on what they think should happen with marijuana in the future. Should it be legalized? Should it not be legalized? And why or why not? So give me at least 2 sentences and put them in the chat box. I'll be looking through and correcting any mistakes you guys make, and we'll make some comments on any of the more interesting opinions here.
2 sentences if it is legalized, and 2 sentences why it's not legalized.
So you can write, I want you to write at least 2 sentences. You can write as many as you like, but I want you to definitely give me your ideas about whether it should be legalized or not, and why you think it should be legalized or not. At least 2 sentences, up to 6 sentences, we'll say, somewhere between there.
Okay.
But teacher, to be honest with you, I don't have any idea about marijuana. I don't know if I can write any sentence, sorry.
You don't know what it is?
I don't know what it is, what it's used for, and what's the negative and positive.
So it's a smokable substance, and the positives usually include things like relaxation and whatever. The negatives, smoking isn't really that good for you in general. It's debated because there's not been a lot of testing done on the long-term negative effects. So there's not actually a lot of evidence of what the long-term negative effects are. But it's thought to be that it would be similar to tobacco smoking because it's a carcinogen, so it's not good for your lungs and things like that.
Okay. Okay.
No one's liking the Verbling chat box today, huh? Okay, so Gregor gave us the idea of a gateway drug. A gateway drug is something that like might lead you down a path of using other drugs. Gregor, do you think, what are some other gateway drugs that you can think of?
It's gateway drugs. I think the marijuana is one of them. Designer drugs that I mentioned before could be the second one, but in practice, that could be only two. But I don't know what else could be because I try to categorize people on people who actually care about the law and who are not. So, for example, some people can smoke, can drink wine, vodka, beer, and do many different things. But some people can make their own alcohol, which is right now illegal in Poland for his own use, and at the same time they can access these boundaries of the law and try some substance like cocaine. That depends from what kind of possibility he has to find one of the drugs that he want to check.
All right. Next one I see I've got a couple corrections on, and Gregor's, yours was good, except we usually spell marijuana with a J, not an H. But other than that, it looks good. The next one I see, it should be legalized, and that should be all one sentence since the next part is a sentence fragment, so get rid of the period there. It should be legalized. I lost it. It should be legalized since the guy uses it by himself. So we need an object there. He uses it by himself. Or people, maybe, to generalize a little better. So it should be legalized because people use it by themselves. So Edson, you think that it's fine as long as it's not hurting anyone else, right?
Yes, maybe use it by himself, for example, at home, or maybe not just at home, but outside. But since
So like alcohol.
since he does not prejudice somebody, for example, just use by himself, but just stay relaxed, just like such kind of thing, but just by himself. I don't know.
Okay.
Because
Excellent.
if you prevent using the drug, what's gonna happen is that everybody wants to try that drug, and you know.
All right. And I see one from Ana Belén, which is in both English and Spanish. Thank you, Ana Belén. And you said marijuana should be allowed, for example, for people with chronic pain. Perfect grammatical sentence. So you agree with the legalization of marijuana for medical use, right, Ana?
Yes, of course, because as Ana Carolina says, they have less, they are safer than other type of drugs.
Yeah, definitely. There's less negative effects. Okay. Next, I see Ana Carolina. In my opinion, drugs should be legalized because... Oh man, I hate this little chat. Sorry, I lost it every time someone puts a message in there. In my opinion, drugs should be legalized because this way the government could fiscalize the usage and take control, get rid of that article there, so take control away from the drug dealers. On the other hand, if, for instance, marijuana was legalized for fun, some people would smoke grass every day. So she used a slang term for marijuana, which is grass. And she brings up an interesting point, and this is actually something that I've had many conversations with people about. It's an interesting idea that if you legalize drugs, you take power away from criminals, right? You're taking their power away if you legalize it. So that's kind of a cool idea. Anna, do you want to tell us more about that? Anna Carolina? Oh no, she's gone. All right, well, it was an interesting idea. Thank you, Anna Carolina. And next up, Anna Carolina, are you back? Anna Carolina, you there? Maybe she's still loading. Okay, next up, I don't think that marijuana should be legalized. I don't think it is good. Get rid of the verb to be there, so it is good for a person's body and his health. Okay, so why not, Lena? Why is it not? Ooh, yeah. Why not, Lena? What's so bad about it?
I don't know what is bad about it, but it's. I think it's not as that good to. For example, it's also unhealthy to eat bad food. But if it's unhealthy to eat pizza and some other things we buy, for example, in the supermarket, why should be marijuana such a good idea? Yes, as I have already mentioned, I think it's only possible to take marijuana only for people who have pain, and only if doctor advises that.
Okay, so maybe there's a possibility of it being used, but not for most people and most times. All right. I've got a quick correction on the next sentence. But for medical purposes, I think she meant purposes, it would be great because it has less side effects than other drugs on the market, not in the market, Anna. And it would help people who have seizures, who have anorexia, and so forth. Drugs that are very addictive, such as crack and so on, should be banned. Okay, so Anna Carolina thinks it has to do with how addictive it is. Crack is very addictive and has a lot of negative side effects. Weed, not as much, not as bad. Okay. I'm not with the drugs in general. When you say you're not with the drugs, you mean you don't use drugs in general. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not with the idea of a drug in general.
Okay, so you don't know about lots of drugs, but with marijuana in particular, it shouldn't be legalized. Everything plays with your mind. Play should have an S on it because everything is considered like one object. So everything plays with your mind. And sensations are, because it's plural, sensations are not good. Dang it. Sorry, I'll ask it again. Sensations are not good because you might be addicted, and it might have with a V, because because it's not he or she. It might have so many negative effects with an S because it's plural in the short and long term. Okay. Yeah, we don't know yet, right? We don't know a lot about. We know some about the short-term effects, not a lot about the long-term effects. So, up in the air. Any other thoughts, Mustafa?
No, just grammatically, like it might have, or it might has, because it's like just marijuana, or we're talking about the drug.
So the reason that it's have is actually, I think I misspoke earlier. It's because we used a modal, and with a modal, you always use the infinitive after, not the to infinitive, just the infinitive. So anything that comes after that is going to be without an S. So she might have, not she might have.
Clear, thank you.
Yeah. Next. And they should control them more. A definition is not, that didn't have to do with the question. Additionally, there is not enough influential political parties in many countries to take risk of the legalization drugs. What do you mean by that, Gregor?
That means that some political parties discuss about legalization of drugs, and for example in Poland, and actually that are more like radical parties. For example, the other party who said we want to marijuana legal and get 10%, and what they didn't do nothing to do it, because at the end they support something like we want healthy food in schools, so they're more interested to make donuts illegal and some.
So you think it's all like a political scam? All right. Definitely politics play a big role in what's legal and what's not legal. And from Rafael, although it's considered a weak drug, it can lead to an unchecked rise in its use. Unfortunately, our governmental system isn't able to cope with the outcome due to the uncontrolled and disorganized misuse of this terrible substance. Wow, you feel very strongly, Rafael.
That's my point of view.
That's totally a legitimate point of view. I think there's a lot of people who think similarly to you. So you think that it's a slippery slope, that it could lead to other drug use, and it's just not a healthy thing to do.
Exactly, because we allow everyone to do it, to use drugs. Unfortunately, people are not totally aware about the outcome and about the result of using this for a long time. So I don't think it would be a great idea just to allow them to use, and because this might overload our already overloaded health system, because we don't.
What do you think about cigarettes, tobacco cigarettes?
From my point of view, it also should be banned, because the results are already in the news, because it's scientifically proved that it can harm you in causing a lot of cases of cancer, and other diseases are derived from the use of cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And people can keep using that, even knowing that would harm them. So it's kind of complicated. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, from my point of view, it should be banned as well.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Rafael. And Ana Carolina, are you there? I don't hear anything yet, Ana Carolina. You probably already tried to reload, but maybe try closing your browser. She's gone. All right. So let's look at this article. I've got an article for us to look at, and then we're going to look at some charts about...
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Now I can hear you. All right, Ana Carolina, was there anything you wanted to add about your response?
Oh, yes. Thank you for asking me. I'd like to talk a lot, teacher.
You have at least 1 minute before we have to go to the article, so give us your thoughts.
Thank you for asking me for your thoughts like you ask everyone else. I think marijuana should be legalized because the government could fiscalize it better and take the control away from the drug dealers. And it is less harmful than a lot of the drugs that people use every day and they are not aware that they are using, you know. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, teacher.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I think that's a good point, because a lot of times we think of legal and illegal as like good versus bad, but sometimes bad things are legal and good things are illegal, so that's something we can keep in mind for sure. All right, let's go to the article. My screen is freezing up a little bit. Can you guys still hear me okay?
But your picture is freezing. Just your picture is closed.
Yeah, this has been happening, and I've been blaming Windows 10. I think I might have to take my computer in to get fixed. In the meantime, I'm going to try to give you guys this link. Man, my stupid computer. All right, well, I'm going to, oops. Oh, it's almost back. Hopefully it'll come back in just a second. In the meantime, let's talk about politics a little bit. We already brushed on the topic, and we're about to talk more about it when we read this article, because it's a political article about Hillary Clinton and her position on legalizing marijuana. Rafael, give us some of your thoughts while we wait for my computer to respond. Do you like Hillary Clinton as a candidate for the presidency?
Well, I don't know about her too much. I haven't know yet about her points of campaign. I don't know. Perhaps it could be a good idea for a president. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have a strong opinion on the political scene for the presidency? Any favorites or least favorites? Are you guys not a political group? Oh my God. Hello?
I can hear you. I don't have any opinion about the political personal election. It might be because I'm so far from it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't take much of an interest in it, but it's been something pretty publicized, I guess, in the last few years, especially the last couple presidential elections have been very international affairs, and people like to give their thoughts. And I'm almost ready to share this screen. I do not know what the problem is here. Okay, I'm going to close some. I'm going to reload.
Now you can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's normal.
Awesome. Thanks for your patience.
We can
guys.
hear you.
I don't know. So annoying. Okay, but let's move forward. So I put the art.
We are again.
Teacher, we can no longer hear you.
No, nothing?
Now I can.
Okay, all right. Well, hopefully it was just a process of loading, and now it's ready. So we're going to look at this article called Clinton Calls for Loosening Federal Restrictions on Marijuana. And that's kind of the direction that the country has been going overall. So I think it's Hillary's attempt to kind of catch up to what's already happening. She used to have a more strict drug policy, and yeah, she's loosening up a little bit, probably just to win more voters because that's already the way voters are going. So let's read the article. There's a beautiful picture of her and some interviewers. We'll go paragraph by paragraph. First paragraph, let's have Ana Belén read for us.
Okay. Hillary Clinton eased her position on marijuana restrictions during a town hall in South Carolina on Saturday, saying she supports a reclassification of the drug to make it easier to conduct research for medical purposes.
Ana Carolina, will you get the next one?
Thank you. A lot more states have passed medical marijuana than have legalized marijuana. So we've got two different experiences or even experiments going on right now. The Democratic presidential candidate said, "The problem with medical marijuana is that there's a lot of anecdotal evidence about how well it works for certain conditions, but we haven't done any research."
Thank you very much. And since the next one's really short, I'll combine these two. And let's have Edson read.
Clinton said that's because the drug is currently classified as a Schedule I substance, which includes drugs such as heroin, LSD, and ecstasy. The Drug Enforcement Administration (DEA) defines Schedule I drugs as those with no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. But if it were lowered to a Schedule II classification, it would open the door for more legal research.
Thank you very much. Gregor, will you read these two?
Yes, researchers at universities of the National Institutes of Health could start researching what is the best way to use it. How much of a dose does somebody need? How does it interact with the other medications? He said. Clinton told the town hall at Claflin University in Orangeburg, SC, that she still doesn't support legalization of marijuana, but that the federal government should monitor states where it has been legalized to learn more.
All right. Next set. Gregor. Oh, actually, Gregor just went, right? Lena
Yes,
then.
I did.
Yeah, Lena. Go for it.
Clinton is the last Democratic presidential candidate to embrace his change for marijuana. Former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley said earlier this year he also supports reclassifying the drugs as a Schedule II substance. Vermont Sen. Bernie Sanders introduced a bill this week to end the federal ban on marijuana. Sanders, who has recently begun to criticize Clinton more harshly, said her position didn't go far enough.
Thanks, Lena. Mustafa, will you read the next section? Let's see how much more we have. Yeah, you can go ahead and read too. It's a big section. Lucky you.
Okay, I'm glad to see Secretary Clinton is beginning to address an issue that my legislation addressed, Sanders said in a statement. But her approach ignored the major issue. Secretary Clinton would classify marijuana in the same category as cocaine and continue to make marijuana a federally regulated substance. If we're serious about criminal justice reform and preventing many thousands of lives from being impacted because of criminal conviction of marijuana possession, we must remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act and allow states the right to go forward if they choose to legalize marijuana without federal legal impediments. He adds.
Impediments, that last word.
Impediments.
Awesome. And Rafael, last section here.
Tom Angel, chairman of Marijuana Majority, also said in a statement that rescheduling the substance to a Schedule II drug was only a symbolic move. It may make research slightly easier, but on its own wouldn't do anything to protect seriously ill people who are using marijuana in accordance with state laws from being harassed by the DEA. Angel said, only change the federal criminal statutes can effectively do that.
Okay, let's talk about vocabulary really quick. Let's look at it page by page. Do you guys have questions on the vocabulary from these 3 paragraphs? Nothing? We'll keep moving down. Any questions?
No. Sorry. I had one.
Yeah.
I had one.
Go ahead. What is it?
It was okay. Anecdotal evidence. A lot of
Anecdotal?
yeah, exactly. So it's like not necessary evidence or what?
Anecdotal evidence is evidence that comes from stories, like personal stories, not necessarily something that's scientifically significant, but something like, oh, well, I have a friend who said this. So sometimes it's important, but a lot of times it's not representative of what's true of a whole population. It's just one person's idea.
Oh, okay, clear.
Any other questions from that section? I know sometimes it's hard to go back and you had a question and you don't remember where it is. But if you guys, as we go through these, sometimes it's good to write down questions. What about from this section? Any vocabulary questions from here? Oops, sorry. Nothing?
Yes, I have one. How does mean that a dose somebody need?
Oh, a dose. So a dose is the amount that you need to be effective.
Okay, perfect.
Great question. That's an important word when we're talking about medical drugs or illegal drugs. All right. How about from here? Any questions here?
Yeah, I haven't understand the former Maryland government. What's his point?
Where?
The middle paragraph. Former Maryland government, Martin. I haven't understand his point, or I didn't understand his point.
So he also supports reclassifying the drug as a Schedule II, means that he would like to see it the regulations loosened. So if we reclassify it as Schedule II, it means that you would be able to do more scientific research on it versus other substances are so controlled, you're not even allowed to do scientific experiments. They're just not allowed at all.
Yeah, but okay. So the second person is like he introduced another bill that and the federal ban on marijuana. Like the second one, like exchange to marijuana or what?
Sorry, what's your question?
Sorry, okay.
Senator Bernie Sanders?
Exactly. So he introduced like a second bill, like some bill like in exchange to marijuana.
Yeah, so Bernie Sanders is obviously the current senator of Vermont. So in Vermont, he introduced this bill, and it has to go through a lot of other processes before it becomes a law. But he introduced this bill, so maybe in the future, Vermont will have a different structure for laws on marijuana. And all these people are potential candidates for the presidency. Governor Martin O'Malley and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, those are all examples of people who are running for president and have changed their position on marijuana recently.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Questions from this section? No? Last section? Anything from here? As you guys reread, if you do find questions on this vocabulary, definitely ask or put it in the chat box or send me a message later if you like. Okay, so let's go on to talking a little bit about what this article is about. So first off, do you think that these politicians are being influenced by the upcoming election? You think they're trying to pander to the public and find opinions that are popular? Ana Belén, do you think that these are just ways to try to get more votes, or do you think that they're really rethinking the drug policies?
No, definitely. I think it's maybe it's a strategy to gain more votes. Um, but it's clear that they are impose their ideas, but maybe in a few months they can change their thought about this matter, because the public reaction could be worse for them.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So you think they're just trying to go with whatever they think will get them more votes. They're not giving their real opinions. Politicians are corrupt sometimes. Ana Carolina, is this a big issue for you if someone you had to vote for, say in Brazil, had a policy like this about marijuana, say they wanted to loosen regulation or tighten regulation? Would that be an important matter for you, or is it not as important as other things?
No, I think it's important. Actually, I am for the legalization of marijuana because I wish they could take the control over the drug dealers, and I've heard that some children who have disease and they have seizures, there is a substance inside the marijuana that can help them. You know, I'm not for the legalization for fun, but for medical proposal, I am for people who have been who are having to undergo chemical therapy. You know, people who have anorexia and those things, they could isolate the substance that would help them, you know, and also the fiber of the marijuana. They can make clothes, they can make fabric using the fibers.
Okay, yeah, it would be pretty helpful. Thanks, Ana Carolina. Edson, what are the most important issues for you when you're voting? Is drugs among them, or are you more concerned with taxes and crime and things like that?
Usually it's not like criminals, or it's just more of taxes, because you know, when if you apply some taxes or not, you can get in control of the population. Maybe if you can, oh, I can get in control of the population with taxes. You apply a tax for education or for selling goods, or I don't know what else. But if you don't apply taxes, maybe people are gonna looking at you as, oh no, I'm gonna get this vote for that candidate, because there is no tax for such things. But you can get a candidate with this, and but I think with if you legalize or not the drugs, use of drugs, it doesn't matter. You probably people who make use of this, they will vote in you or not. But is that always just more for Texas? Because Texas, mainly my country nowadays, are terrible. You
All
can
right.
you can get the strategy of your country when using taxes or not.
Yeah, it would be really helpful if they had more money from taxing things like marijuana. We've got a few more people to go, and guys, try and keep your opinions short because I've got to stop probably like 4 minutes before the hour, so try to give me concise ideas. Gregor, what do you think are your most important topics when you're voting? Are drugs among them, drug policies, or is it other things, women's rights and all those other issues?
So this category of things like drugs, abortions, homosexual practice, and all kind of things are more like a replacement topic for me. for me, the most important thing is to not to bring new things, but to correct the economy and taxation practice, and in this case, marijuana bring more difficulties than opportunities for a government to have a bigger budget because of the taxation of marijuana. I think the budget of the country should be smaller. I don't see any reason why politicians should have access to too much money, because I think that people who should just control their own lives without constant practice of the government who just follow us, observe us, what we do and why.
All right. Lena, what do you think? Do you agree? Is it one of your more important topics or something you don't care as much about as other things?
Actually, I think there are some more important topics. For example, kids, retired person, health system, some environment issues. Just I would not vote for some party who just takes only this drugs policy. I think there are some more important things to think about.
All right. Mustafa, what do you think? Is it, like they said, something that's not that important to you, or is it high on your list of priorities?
You mean the politics? Talking about this?
Are drugs, like if there was a politician who had ideas either for or against drugs, would that be very meaningful to you, or do you concentrate on other stuff more? So maybe they don't have a policy you like, but it doesn't matter that much to you.
Other stuff like more. I think they try to get more people for election purpose. Yeah, like some product moving.
All right. Rafael, how about you? Is it a very important topic for you or not a very important topic for you?
For me, it's not very important because I'm not interested in using drugs, and not even marijuana or maybe or type of drugs. And from my point of view, I'm a little indifferent about that. We have a lot of other priorities right now. We are undergoing a severe political crisis here. Lots of jobs and several problems here. Unfortunately, our currency is getting devalued between related to the others, so it's getting complicated living here. We have a huge amount of priorities to deal right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming and participating. My next class is on modal phrases if you guys want to join. We'll be talking about modal words that are kind of typical in general, and then some more advanced stuff, and we'll be having a lot of conversation as well. If not, I'll see you guys another time, and thanks. Bye.
Thank you, teacher. Bye. See you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.